Okay, everyone. We've gathered some accounts today that are, well, they're deeply personal and honestly, pretty unsettling. These aren't just stories, they're real experiences. Moments where terror just unexpectedly crashed into someone's life, completely shattering their sense of safety. So, in this deep dive, we're not just here for the chills, though there are plenty. We want to look at the patterns, like what happens when your basic assumptions about safety completely break down, especially when the danger looks familiar. Whether it's your own home or just like a normal social situation. Let's try and unpack some of this.
Yeah, and it's important to remember these are real people, real trauma. It's quite striking, actually, how thin that line is, between just a normal day and suddenly finding yourself in real, genuine danger. We're looking at those specific moments where trust just disintegrates, and people are left wondering what was even real.
Absolutely. Let's start with maybe the most fundamental violation, a threat inside your own home. This first account, it's about a young kid left alone during this huge storm because the roads were totally blocked. Parents couldn't get back.
Right. The setup seems almost classic in a way. Kids initially excited, maybe a little nervous about being alone, and the mom left a list, right? Lock the doors, check the windows, keep a light on, standard stuff.
Exactly. But here's the twist right at the start. The kid is, maybe too excited or just tired, and falls asleep on the living room couch before doing all the checks.
So the vulnerability is there from the beginning, just simple oversight, falling asleep.
Then they wake up hours later, and the first thing they notice, the house is cold, like really cold, much colder than it should be, even with the storm.
That's the first flag, isn't it? Before seeing anything, just that feeling.
Totally. They go around, check the doors, the windows, they're all locked, sealed tight. But that cold feeling, that sort of sick chill, it doesn't go away.
It's like the body knows something's wrong before the mind catches up. That dissonance. It's your primitive brain screaming danger.
So, still feeling uneasy.
Yeah.
They finally head upstairs to bed, lying there, listening to the storm. But then they hear another sound. It's described as this weird, grinding, creaking noise. Not the wind, not the house settling, something unnatural. And then a flash of lightning, just for a second. But it illuminates the bedroom closet and the door, which the kid knows they shut earlier. It's open, just slightly ajar.
Wow, okay. That is the moment. The absolute collapse of safety. You go from maybe imagining things, hearing storm sounds, to, boom, visual proof. Something is fundamentally wrong. That's pure, paralyzing terror.
The kid somehow keeps it together enough to sneak downstairs, hides under the big dining room table. And then they hear footsteps coming down the stairs. But they're described as chaotic, stumbling, like pinballing off the walls.
Not careful, not stealthy, chaotic.
Right. And from under the table, the kid sees them. 2 legs, bare, wet, covered in mud, yellowish, kind of disfigured with cuts all over them.
Oh, God.
And then something metal hits the floor nearby. A loud clang. It was a wrench.
A wrench, okay.
But here's maybe the strangest part, psychologically speaking, the aftermath. The account says the kid waited until everything was quiet, picked up the wrench, and then told no one. For years. Kept it totally secret.
That speaks volumes, doesn't it? The reason given was fear of getting in trouble. For not locking the doors properly in the first place.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, almost. The fear of mom and dad being angry outweighed the terror of, well, whatever that thing was upstairs.
It really makes you think about the hierarchy of fear, especially in childhood. The immediate threat is gone, right? The intruder left. But the potential threat, parental disapproval, breaking the rules that feels more permanent, more real in that moment.
Is that common, that kind of silence?
Very common in trauma. Internalized rules, authority figures. They can sometimes exert more control over behavior after the event than the external threat did during it. And that silence, that secrecy, it just lets the trauma fester. It becomes guilt, not survival.
Chilling.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. From that kind of immediate physical intrusion to something more insidious. Stalking. Where the threat hides in plain sight, or even in your dreams. We have this really strange account, story number 2, about recurring dreams, or maybe half-lucid dreams. The person describes seeing their bedroom from above, like floating near the ceiling. Always the same scene. Digital clock counting backwards, weird crayon drawings of people holding hands, a lost toy train.
That sounds dissociative. The out-of-body view is often a way the mind tries to distance itself from something traumatic or overwhelming, creating a safe viewpoint.
But the safety never lasts in the dream. There's always a threat. A man. Described very specifically, short gray hair and a noticeable cut on his left temple. He appears right outside the bedroom window, just inches away, clawing at the glass.
Clawing, wow.
The dream stopped for a while, then came back. But the last time, there was a crucial difference. In the final dream, the bedroom window was open.
Oh, no. Years go by. The person finally tells their father about these dreams, and the dad focuses right in on that detail, the cut on the temple.
And he recognized it.
He did. It led to this really chilling realization. The description perfectly matched someone they called Uncle Brian, a family friend.
A friend of the family.
Yeah, who had a very visible scar right there from some accident. And here's the kicker. The father had explicitly told Brian years before that he was not allowed near the child, for reasons unstated in the source, but clearly serious.
So the father's theory, it wasn't a dream, not really?
His theory was that it was the brain grappling with a buried memory, something that happened pre-verbally maybe. A real encounter with this man that was so terrifying the mind could only process it fragmentally through these recurring nightmares.
Wow, so the dream elements, the clock, the drawings were the brain trying to build a narrative around a real, fragmented, terrifying image. The face at the window.
Exactly. And it gets worse. The father apparently remembered finding faint footprints under that same bedroom window around the time the dreams finally stopped, after the one where the window was open.
Good Lord. So, was this person actually being watched, stalked, even by this Uncle Brian? The dreams were the mind's warning system.
It seems that way. Whether it was constant stalking or just repeated boundary testing, who knows?
Yeah.
But the threat was real, external, and somehow burrowing into the subconscious as a nightmare.
That idea of surveillance, of being watched without knowing it, that connects to the next story too, doesn't it? The yearbook stalker.
It does. Story 3. This one feels almost mundane at first. Last day of 8th grade, yearbooks being signed, total chaos. The victim gets their yearbook back, flips through it later, and finds this message. Hags. Horrible term. I'll be seeing you again. Signed, Samuel Robinson III.
Okay, creepy. But maybe just a weird kid.
That's what you think. Because the victim had no idea who Samuel Robinson III was, didn't know him at all.
Okay, that changes things.
And it gets very real, very fast. That same night, the victim is having a sleepover with friends. There's a knock on the storm door. It's him, Samuel Robinson III.
He showed up at her house. How did he even know where she lived?
Exactly. When they confronted him, carefully, he just said, he always watched me from afar.
Chilling. Just chilling.
But the absolute shocker came later. They found out Samuel had been expelled from school weeks before the last day.
Wait, so he wasn't even supposed to be at school?
Nope. He must have snuck back into the school building specifically to find her yearbook and write that message.
That elevates it significantly. That's not just random creepiness. That's premeditated, targeted. And it still leaves the question, how did he know her address? How did he know about the sleepover that night? The level of surveillance is deeply disturbing. The message wasn't the start. It was like announcing the next phase.
It really is. Okay, let's move into our last segment. Here the threats come wearing a mask of normalcy, even friendliness. Social threats.
Yeah, this is where things get complicated because the danger isn't immediately obvious. It often relies on exploiting trust, using social situations as camouflage. As these next accounts show, things can turn violent incredibly quickly.
Right. Take story 4, the beach house incident. Simple setup. 4 friends on vacation, meet 3 guys on the beach. Described as just typical beach boys. Seemed fine, they hang out, have some fun. But the narrator gets tired and decides to head back to the house early.
And that decision turned out to be crucial.
Absolutely critical, because shortly after she left, one of her friends, Lindsay, realized she'd forgotten her purse back at the beach. So she walks back, and she walks right into seeing the guys trying to force the other 2 friends, Thea and Sabrina, into the back of their car. They were bound, bruised. It was a full-on kidnapping attempt.
Oh my God. Just like that. From hanging out to that.
Lindsay runs back, gets the narrator.
Yeah.
And because the narrator hadn't been drinking much, was clear-headed, she could take action.
What did they do?
They jumped in Lindsay's car. Lindsay knew the make and model of the guy's car. The narrator drove, calling the police while speeding after them, relaying the car description and direction.
Wow. High-speed chase.
Basically, yeah. The source says the police managed to intercept the car, stop them at gunpoint, and found Thea and Sabrina alive in the trunk.
Unbelievable. Thank God for Lindsay going back and the narrator being able to act.
Seriously.
Yeah.
The account also mentions intense legal efforts afterward to keep the whole thing quiet out of the papers while pushing for the maximum sentences. It just underscores how violently that trust was broken. From beach fun to abduction in minutes.
And the trauma from that.
Yeah.
The source mentions the narrator had issues for years, right? Fear of beaches, strangers being out late. Understandable.
Completely. Okay, final story. This one, This one is just bizarre. Story 5, the Jersey Shore incident. It involves two friends, Gianna and Marcella, at a party. But the experience they describe is highly abnormal, not just getting drunk.
What do they describe?
A really sudden, overwhelming feeling of being wrong, like unnaturally intoxicated. One described it as feeling like her body was melting or turning into cardboard, extremities going numb. Then, blackout. A memory gap of several hours.
Okay, that sounds like drugging for sure. But the description is unusual, not just passing out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's the proof that they weren't just passed out unconscious. During this blackout period, someone used their phones to send coherent texts that contradicted each other, but were grammatically correct, making plans, etc.
What? So they were functioning on some level, or someone else was using their phones?
It's unclear, but they wake up hours later, miles away, like an hour's drive from where the party was supposed to be.
Miles away?
Yeah. And they're wearing different clothes, strangers' clothes. Their wallets and keys are gone.
Okay, so robbed, drugged, moved. This is serious.
You'd think. But here's the really weird part. Their wallets were stolen, but none of their credit cards were ever used. Nothing.
Wait, what? Why go to all that trouble, the drugging, moving them, changing their clothes, stealing the wallets, and then not use the cards? What was the point?
That's the terrifying question, isn't it? It makes no logical sense from a robbery perspective. Why the elaborate setup? Why that specific weird drugging effect? Why displace them geographically?
And the police?
According to the source, the police basically dismissed it. Treated it like they just got too drunk and lost their stuff. Despite the weird texts, the different clothes, the impossible distance traveled, just a drunk incident.
That's deeply troubling. That failure to investigate feels like another layer of violation. The motive seems less like theft and more like manipulation, control, something much stranger.
And one final detail. They later found out the fancy beach house the girls thought they were partying at, the one the host claimed was theirs, it actually belonged to some random older couple who had no connection to any of it.
So the entire environment, the entire social interaction was a lie, a meticulously built trap from the start.
Precisely. It's utterly baffling and deeply unsettling.
So if we pull back and look at all 5 of these accounts, what's the connecting thread? We've gone from home invasion to psychological intrusion via dreams and stalking to social traps. I think the common denominator isn't just fear, it's that profound sense of wrongness, that sick, lingering feeling when something truly awful happens that you can't easily explain, can't neatly categorize, can't find closure for. Reality itself feels broken.
Yeah, definitely. The key takeaway isn't just lock your doors, although, yeah, that's lesson 1 from the first story, but it's also about listening to that gut feeling, like in story 4, being wary when things feel off or someone seems to know too much about you, stories 2 and 3. The scariest stories aren't always ghosts and monsters, are they? Sometimes they're about how easily other people can just dismantle your world, your safety, your sense of what's real, and how silence can make it worse, story 1, or how a lack of motive can be the most terrifying thing of all, story 5.
Absolutely. It challenges our fundamental assumptions.
So thinking about all these different ways safety can be breached, the physical, the psychological, the social, which scenario really gets under your skin the most? Which one makes you question how we predict danger, how we decide who or what to trust? It really makes you think about what true safety even means. Something to definitely reflect on. Okay, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. We hope these accounts give you something to think about, as unsettling as they are. If you found this exploration valuable, please do us a favor like this, share it with someone who appreciates these kinds of stories, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs, for more deep dives into the unsettling and unexplained. Stay safe out there.